Like, comment, subscribe, and let's do this.
True. In fact, it's true for most countries that aren't called the United States of America, where 90% of all F5 tornadoes ever recorded took place.
Damn! 90%!
Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a
90%!
quest to uncover all of the memos that
That's
Britain and
crazy.
America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to deadly natural phenomena. Last week, a tornado ripped through Nashville, and it got me thinking about how America is very extreme when it comes to some of these natural phenomena in a way that Britain isn't. And for anybody who's looking to
Very
move to the United
extreme.
States, it's good to keep these things in mind. Just keep in mind they are rare, right? So it's not like a Roland Emmerich movie every day in this country, but it is pretty staggering how Mother Nature can be quite a bit more overbearing in the United States. And if you
Yeah,
think this video is just going to be Lawrence moaning
I've
about the
realized
snow
that
again,
too.
you would be incorrect because over half of the entries on this list are not even weather related. Well, actually one might be with a technicality. And so without further ado, let's take a look at 5 deadly natural phenomena.
Like, before we go ahead, I just wanted to ask, like, I know it's a dumb question, but do you guys have, like, snakes in the UK? If anybody from the UK is watching this, or anyone from England, please tell me, do you guys have snakes there, like poisonous? Because I've never heard anyone talk about the snakes there, or whichever snake you guys have. So if there's any, please put that in the comments, and let's go ahead.
Phenomena that America has that Britain doesn't. Yes, earthquakes, and there is a reason that I specified magnitude 7 because Britain has never had one. In fact, the worst it's ever
Really?
had was a 6.1 magnitude earthquake, and that didn't kill anybody. In Britain, that's sort of par for the course. Deaths as a result of an earthquake are incredibly rare. The only earthquake I remember living through in Britain was one that emanated from the Lincolnshire town of Market Raisin, and as I recall, the extent of the damage that day was a fallen patio set. But magnitude 7 earthquakes or above are not just these sort of fictional events that are reserved for films like the imaginatively titled Earthquake. These have actually happened in American history. In fact, one happened just last year in California. I remember all of these famous people on social media posting pictures and videos of their swimming pools
Yeah,
swaying from
yeah.
side to
I
side
always see
and the
those
dogs
clips
looking
too.
confused. And it's not really surprising that this happened in California because California is sort of the capital of America's most deadly earthquakes. Indeed, the nation's most deadly earthquake occurred in 1906 in San Francisco, when a frankly astonishing 3,000 people
Look
perished
at the
amid a
look at the
7.9
damage.
magnitude earthquake. Now, since that deadly earthquake in San Francisco, California has, of course, endured some
I'm sorry, I'm yapping a lot, so I didn't hear what he like the magnitude.
at a 7.9 magnitude earthquake.
7.9.
Now, since that deadly earthquake in San Francisco, California has, of course, endured some terrible earthquakes in the century that has passed. It's also waiting, of course, for the so-called big one, which, some people think is inevitable. Either way, once you get past all of these quakes and shakes, I am assured that California truly is the golden state. That is, once you've also got past these.
Bruh. What do you guys have in the UK? Like, any natural disasters you guys are afraid of? Because in my country, yes, we do have quakes sometimes and they ruin stuff, but they're not that strong. But I guarantee that they're stronger than the ones in the UK, though. America is very extreme, bro. Like, majority of the natural disasters I always see, it's always in the USA.
We saw it in Australia at the beginning of this year as the bushfires that engulfed that country. We see them, of course, every single year in the United States. Specifically, from a news standpoint, you tend to see them in California. But I've seen
California,
at least smoke
again.
from wildfires in Utah and Idaho. So it's not just a California issue. That just happens to be where some of the deadlier wildfires occur in the US, but not the deadliest of all time. That very unwanted record goes not to California or Utah or Idaho, but to Wisconsin. That's right, the Peshtigo fire of 1871 killed upward of 1,500 people, and there's a weird reason
Wow.
that you might not have heard of it. It may have
That's a
burned
lot
through
of
1.2
people.
million acres and been the deadliest wildfire in US history, but due to a stunning coincidence, it was largely buried in the newspapers of the day, where it was overshadowed by another fire that broke out that day, a fire that history will remember as the Great Chicago Fire. And the Great Chicago Fire also overshadowed the Great Michigan Fire. It's like how John F. Kennedy's death overshadowed that of C.S. Lewis and Aldous Huxley. What are the chances? Well, for decades, some theorized that all of the fires were caused by the very
Oh
same
my
thing,
God.
that being debris falling to Earth from a missing comet. But in recent times, scientists have ruined that theory by pointing out that actually, to the touch, comet debris is actually cold and would probably extinguish the fire, so it was aliens. Meanwhile, people very rarely die in wildfires in Britain, if at all, though wildfires do indeed exist
I
there. The
mean,
same cannot be said of our next entry.
the reason why, like, you don't have wildfires in the UK or in Britain, is it because it's always raining? Like, does that play a part in the reason why you guys never have wildfires? I think so. We have them, but they're not as common as the ones in the US. Man, the ones in California last year, I think it was last year or beginning of this year, they were so extreme. Scary too. It looked apocalyptic.
Now we're
Volcanoes.
getting into the kind of phenomena that I've not seen with my own eyes, unless you include 1997's volcano or 1997's Dante's Peak. What are the chances that two very similar disaster movies would come out in the same year? Let's ask 1998's Armageddon and 1998's Deep Impact. But the truth of the matter is, volcano eruptions in the United States are not just works of fiction. You may recall recently that there was a volcano eruption in Hawaii, and don't get me started on Mount St. Helens.
Yeah,
Actually do, because that represents the
I had
deadliest
forgotten about
eruption
that.
in US history. In 1980, Mount St. Helens erupted, killing 57 people. And over the course of the next decade, it would see more and more eruptions. And this isn't surprising, because if you look at a map of the west coast of the United States, or just the west coast of the Americas in general, look at all
Riddled.
those active volcanoes. That's where they sit. I blame Pangaea for breaking up, because it's enough to put me off moving to the Pacific coast. And if one of those blows, not even Pierce Brosnan can help me. Now, having looked at a map of all of the active volcanoes in the United States, here are all of the active volcanoes in Britain. That's right, there are precisely no active volcanoes in the entirety of Britain.
You guys are living it up in Britain, eh? No volcanoes, zero to none when it comes to earthquakes, zero wildfires, or close to zero, I mean, because it's always raining. And you guys complain about the weather all the time. That's all that's happening. Rain. Where I live is so hot. Like, I'd take the rain or the cloudy um weather all the time because I feel like that's better. And then you get like the sun sometimes. I get that people in Britain are always happy when the sun comes out. So I personally, I love the rain, man. I love clouds.
So Britain is thankfully unlikely to match the death toll at Mount St. Helens. Unfortunately, our next entry far surpasses it. So to use
Hurricanes.
language that you're more likely to hear in this, my adoptive country, Category 5 hurricanes are like totally the worst. Literally true, the deadliest natural disaster in American history was the Great Storm of 1900. Striking Galveston, Texas, it is believed to have killed between 6,000 and 12,000 Americans. But this was a Category 4 storm. The deadliest
12,000!
Category 5 storm was the Okeechobee Storm of 1928, which killed 2,500 Americans and 1,600 others elsewhere. In recent times, you probably remember Hurricane Katrina, which was also a Category
Yeah,
5 storm, and of course led to thousands of fatalities in New
Louisiana.
Orleans and some of the surrounding areas and states as well. And if you're watching this from Britain, you might be thinking, what? We don't have hurricanes in Britain, and deadly ones at that. Well, the truth is, people have died as a result of hurricanes in Britain, just not Category 5 hurricanes. And that's because in Britain there has never been a Category 5 hurricane on record. And that includes the most
What?
famous storm in living memory. That would be the Great Storm of 1987, which nonetheless did kill 18 people and 15 million trees. And all this after the weatherman Michael Fish reported that there wasn't going to be a hurricane, so we weren't prepared. Thankfully it happened at night, so most people were asleep in their soft beds. Same can't be said for the trees, which ironically did provide material for some of the bed frames. No, in Britain, hurricanes are sort of rare. We usually get what they refer to as the tail end of the hurricane. And speaking of tails...
I would have thought like hurricanes were very common in Britain because it and hurricanes like that with rain. If it's always raining, how don't you get like dangerous hurricanes? Hurricane. Yeah, those. I would have thought like they were very common there. And another thing, people who were sleeping, they were very lucky because I feel like I'm one of those people because whenever I wake up in the morning and something was happening and I'll hear people talking about it, but I'll have no recollection of it because I was sleeping at the time. So it's kind of fun or just confusing when you hear about it when you wake up. Like, yeah, yesterday we had an earthquake. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Thankfully, unless you include 1996's Twister, I've never seen a tornado with my own eyes, but if I did, I'd absolutely myself.
Bro.
At this point in my life, perhaps it's just luck that I haven't seen one, because to say that we don't have them in Britain would be a complete lie. Tornadoes are actually quite numerous in the British Isles, but there's a big difference between the tornadoes that we get in Britain and the tornadoes that we get in the United States of America. Firstly, the UK has not recorded a tornado-related fatality since 1931, and before
Wow.
the 20th century you'd have to go back to 1558 and then 1091. Historically, around only 12 people have been killed by
1091?
tornadoes in Britain. And that's because British tornadoes just aren't very powerful. The one that ripped through London in 1091 is believed not only to be the oldest known tornado in British history, but possibly the strongest. They theorised that it might have been a Category 4 tornado, suggesting that anything above that, aka an F5 tornado, has never made landfall in Britain. And that's true. In fact, it's true for most countries that aren't called the United States of America, where 90% of all F5 tornadoes ever recorded took place. Now, 37% of those took place in either Oklahoma, Kansas, or Texas.
Tornado
You would expect
Alley.
that they're in the Great Plains. But surprisingly, the Great Plains did not play host to the deadliest tornado in US history. That would go to the tri-state area of Indiana, Illinois, and Missouri. That
Damn.
1925 twister killed 58 times the UK's all-time total. If you're sitting at home and doing the maths on that, stop right now, because I'm just going to tell you the death toll was 698. It's by far the biggest, but as we are reminded by that tornado that ripped through Nashville last week, itself an incident that beats the UK's all-time record, we are reminded once again of the destructive power of American tornadoes, and my thoughts go to the people recovering from that incident. In the meantime, for anybody that's looking to move to the United States, I hope this video hasn't put you off. For the most part, you won't see any of this, unless you live in California. I'm joking, you'll be fine. I just wanted to make you aware of these things and to remind my American viewers that Mother Nature just seems to have it in for you. As for me, doing this video has reminded me that I can live with the odd blizzard and that I do miss British weather. That's it for this episode. Thank you for tuning in. Let me know in the comments below.
Bruh, like, tornadoes. I actually want to see a tornado one day. Like, I'm afraid of tornadoes, but I want to see one, bro. I was just thinking about this the other day. The way tornadoes always look on video, they make you feel like insignificant, and there's a certain rush to seeing one. So I want to see one in person, like really. And you know that tornadoes are very popular, or are a very common occurrence in your country if you have a place called Tornado Alley, where people in places like Oklahoma and places like that. But I often wonder why people still live there. Like, I get wanting to live where your people always lived for generations, but isn't it scary? Doesn't it get to you, like, mentally? Are people staying as much as they used to be staying when it happened in the past? Or are people now moving out and there's less and less people living in these areas? If somebody knows that, please put that in the comments. And I think he said that was the end. So on that note, thank you for watching and I'll see you on the next one.